It is 10:01. Good morning. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. The Nashville Predators' hot streak continued on Tuesday night with an 8-2 win over the San Jose Sharks at Bridgestone Arena. The Preds had 7 different goal scorers, including Michael McCarron scoring twice. The point streak has extended to 15 games, which ties a franchise record. The Preds will travel to the Florida Panthers for a game tomorrow night. The men's NCAA tournament got underway last night with the first 4. Wagner outlasted Howard 71-68. They will play 1 seed North Carolina on Thursday, and Colorado State routed Virginia 67-42. They are now the 10 seed in the Midwest and will face Texas on Thursday. The winner of that game will play the winner between Tennessee and St. Peter's. In NFL free agency news, the Jets signed free agent wide receiver Mike Williams to a 1-year deal with max value of $15 million. Williams was released by the Chargers earlier in the offseason. The Browns signed newly acquired receiver Jerry Jeudy to a 3-year extension worth $58 million with $41 million guaranteed. And new Saints defensive end signing Chase Young will reportedly miss part of training camp after undergoing neck surgery. Young signed a 1-year, $13 million deal with New Orleans this week. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Good morning. Welcome into 104.5 The Zone. Hope you're having a great start to your Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out with Lucas and myself. We got Nate Washington on the show today, Titans legend. He'll join us at 12:20, talk a little receivers, see what his outlook on this offseason so far has been. We got L'Jarius Sneed rumors for you as well. Titans making some visits with some defensive backs. Staying in the discussion for the Chiefs star corner. We'll get you up to date on the latest. But, Lucas, I would be remiss if we didn't open with a Panzica Preds Minute. So far, it's the second longest point streak that they've had. Last night tied the longest point streak that they've had as a franchise. And I thought for a minute, and I'll be honest, I didn't know that the Sharks were the worst team in hockey until, well, not the worst team in the hockey, but one of the worst teams in hockey, until I checked the standings and turned the game on. But when they were trailing to the Sharks early on, looking around like, do I start to trust them again? Do I get excited about a local sports team? Because local sports here lately, other than the Vols basketball team, been a little disappointing. Preds, one of the most exciting teams that we have, one of the best tickets in town when they're rocking, when Bridgestone is going. There's, I would argue, no better atmosphere in at least Nashville sports. Would you disagree? I know Geodis has its moments for sure.
I am very partial to Geodis Park on a Saturday night in the summer.
Well, but you can't be trusted with this. You're completely biased.
This is the best environment in Nashville.
Bridgestone?
No, Geodis Park.
Okay. Well, you know. Many people are saying that it's Bridgestone Arena, but we can debate that at a later date. Sure as hell hadn't been Nissan Stadium the last 2 seasons, but we can get to that later on. We'll talk some Titans, I promise.
It's definitely not been that.
Not been that. No, it's that place is sad. It's a lot of sadness that goes on at Nissan Stadium here of late. But Bridgestone last night, vibes were down early on, basically until about halfway through the game. And then all of a sudden, they just go crazy. And like I said, Sharks not a good team. Sharks last place in the conference. Looking around, Preds holding on to the first wild card spot, trying to maintain that lead over Vegas, and seeing the way that they came back against an inferior opponent and left no doubt at the end of it to where I looked up at one point and they had scored. I thought there was a misprint that they had put a touchdown up on the board and finished the game 8-2 against San Jose. It was a big part of the reason that they were able to come back was the penalty kill. And they're starting to get healthier now down the stretch. I know Barry Trotz was talking yesterday about players that might be available if the playoffs started today. We can discuss that a little later on. But I'm buying this Preds team, and it's reason enough for me to not want to go to a game because I fear that my curse will bring them to a screeching halt like the last time that you and I attended a game.
Yes. Yes. Do not show up, whatever you do.
So you're in on the superstition now. Before you were out. Now that they're actually riding one of the most impressive streaks in franchise history.
I'm still very hesitant to give you that type of credit and that type of influence.
Why would you consider it credit? That's not credit. That's a play. I don't want that. I want to go to the games and watch them win. I'm a Preds fan.
I think you're giving yourself too much credit to think that your presence there has any influence whatsoever on the outcome of the game. But why don't we err on the side of caution on this one and
stay away.
Watch the Preds' hot streak continue as they've won 13 of their last 15.
Mm-hmm.
It's a franchise record now, 15 straight points taken. So won 13 of the last 15. They've taken points in all of those games. And last night felt like just a microcosm of what this run has been for the play that Philip Forsberg, a goal and 2 assists. Roman Josi is playing the best he has all season, a goal and 2 assists. And what they're getting just from their role players. Mark Jankowski gets on the board yesterday. Jason Zucker, who they acquired from Arizona,
first goal
at
as
the
a
trade
Pred.
deadline, he gets on the board yesterday, and they score 4 goals in the third period to just obliterate the Sharks in what looked like a pretty good game at the early onset. Mikael Granlund scores in a return to Nashville, and he kind of put the Sharks on the board. It's 1-1 after the first period. But, man, the way that they pulled away, and they are just red hot. It is really fun to watch for a team that a month ago we were talking about needing to be sellers at the trade deadline. They got blown out by the Dallas Stars. They had their U2 trip taken away from them to Vegas, and then they rattle off this 15-game point streak, and they go down to Florida to play the Panthers tomorrow before coming back home for another homestand where they'll host the Red Wings on Saturday. But my goodness, this team is playing electric right now, and you just wonder how much it can kind of carry into the playoffs with only a month left, less than a month left in the regular season.
615-737-1045. Lucas, if you could grab me the Jason Zucker audio that I just sent to the Twitter group, because I think it's pretty funny, courtesy of our buddy Alex Doherty at the Tennessean, because as you mentioned, he did score his first goal as a Predator last night. And what happens when Preds players score a goal? What's the song?
It's the Black Keys, Gold on the Ceiling, you get first
Tim
McGraw.
I love it.
I like it.
I want some more of it.
Yep.
Jason Zucker, not a fan of that song. And he said as much in the Preds pregame locker room when Alex Doherty caught up with him prior to their 8-2 win.
Look forward to about first home game here.
Being on the right side of this. I hate that goal song until now. Now I think I'll like it a little bit more. So, this has always been one of my favorite places to play. So for me, it's going to be exciting to be on the right side of it now.
I hate that goal song until now, and that was prior to him scoring a goal and pressing play on the song that he likes the least. Now, they missed the playoffs for the first time in quite some time last year. And it was weird to just not have postseason hockey, even though when they have gotten into the postseason of late, they have been underwhelming. The President's Trophy year felt like, I don't know, the last real chance that core had to do something, given the success that they had throughout the course of the regular season. And then they go into the postseason and suffer a second-round loss, I believe? But now, with the kind of team that they've got, and as you mentioned, that they're getting contributions from multiple lines, feels like this is a team that can cause some problems once we start to get into April and postseason play. I don't know if they can extend it all the way out until June and make some kind of the first one was a legit miracle Stanley Cup run, like sweeping the Blackhawks and having the level of success that they did in 2017 and ultimately losing in 6 games to the Penguins, which was disappointing, but so much fun. That felt like a bit of a miracle run because they just barely squeaked into the postseason that year. This would feel less like a miracle if they were able to stretch something out because this is a legitimately good hockey team at this point. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Just the fact that we have totally pivoted from Yeah, probably got to offload UC Soros. Now's probably the time to see what kind of haul you can get for UC Soros to adding pieces like Jason Zucker that are contributing now. 2 goals since he was acquired by Barry Trotz in that trade. I mean, it has truly been a complete 180 from a month ago where a vocal minority was talking about Andrew Brunette maybe getting fired. I mean, get out of here with 1 year on the job, not even. And now they're in as good of a run as quite literally they've ever been on in franchise history. And if they win in Florida tomorrow against the Panthers, it will be the best run, the best point streak in franchise history. And, I mean, it's reminding me of that President's Trophy winning season where the Preds just felt unstoppable for multiple stretches of that regular season.
They don't lose anymore unless we go to the game.
They just looked untouchable that year in the regular season, of course, and then you lose to Winnipeg in the second round. But this is kind of bringing me back to that a little bit, especially if Roman Josi continues to play at this level, Philip Forsberg. I mean, you're talking about suddenly a team that you feel like could do something in the playoffs.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to join in, talk some puck. This morning, we will pivot to a little bit of college basketball. The play-in games continue tonight. Tournament play will officially get underway tomorrow, so make sure you get your brackets done. By the way, Casey Alexander, Belmont men's basketball coach, will be in studio with us. We are only on the air for an hour tomorrow and on Friday because Westwood One has the tournament on the air, so you can hear college basketball in place of us. And we will be partaking in the basketball fun as well. But Casey Alexander will be in here. And are we going to fill out our brackets live on air? I don't usually fill out a bracket, but this year I'm down if Casey's here.
Let's do it. I'm in. I'll probably do mine tonight. I need to be meticulous about it. I'm determined this year. I'm determined to have the best bracket I've ever had this year.
Why? Are you in some kind of pool?
I'm in a pool with some buddies, but just
what's the buy-in?
Oh, like $20.
Well, then
Nothing
why?
Crazy.
Why is this the year that you are more determined?
I don't know. I'm just
like it's a $500 buy-in. What's wrong with you?
I'm just feeling good this year. There's a lot of really fun teams on the lower seed levels that can make some noise this year. It's all about picking the right upsets.
I can't wait to check in with you after the first weekend and just see how absolutely obliterated your meticulously done bracket. The more time you spend on these damn things, the worse that they do. Don't you know this by now?
It's so true.
The more time you invest in putting together the best possible bracket, the more likely that it is to blow up in your face. But I appreciate your enthusiasm for it because honestly, this is my favorite postseason of the year. Of the sports calendar. Nothing beats March Madness to me. Stanley Cup playoffs is probably second, but I don't know that there's anything that touches March Madness. So we'll take your phone calls coming up next. We'll talk about the Vols' potential path through March and into April. Don't forget, Nate Washington will join us at 12:20. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Nothing like the support of the F&M Bank chat to uplift you on a Wednesday. Talking about the Preds coming off a win over the Sharks last night. They are in Florida to play the Panthers tomorrow night. Jonathan Hernandez on YouTube. You can live stream the show on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Says, Buck, in the name of all that is holy, please stay away from the Preds. Okay. But if they make the playoffs, I'm going to go to a game. I hate to tell you. That's just how it's going to be. But for the regular season, I am content to stay away. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Nate Washington will be here to talk some Titans offseason at 12:20. Vols in the tournament. They play the mighty Peacocks tomorrow. Lucas does not fear the Peacocks.
Nope. BVS is currently dormant. I have not had any flare-ups.
Okay. I think that's interesting, given the way that your regular season and SEC tournament ended. But that's fine. You're allowed to be chesty about the Peacocks. The Peacocks having a down year, even though they're back in the tournament.
Yeah, I don't think you could say a down year when they won their conference and got into the dance.
Didn't they go to the Elite Eight a couple of years ago?
Yes, 2 years ago. They beat Kentucky. They beat Murray State. They beat Purdue. Oh, who was the mustached guard? Edert? Doug Edert? Something like that?
That sounds right.
Man, that was one of, I think that's my favorite NCAA tournament run ever. Like, do you have a favorite Cinderella run ever? VCU back in the day when Shaka Smart burst onto the scene,
VCU was a fun team.
Obviously, Loyola Chicago. That one is my least favorite run because Tennessee was a victim of that.
Yes, and you have been anti-Sister Jean as long as I've known you. Because I was in Tennessee to see their season ended by Loyola of Chicago, I didn't really enjoy that one because they deprived me of having a fun tournament experience.
Agent Estot says Florida Gulf Coast.
Dunk City.
We got a Butler. Jameson says
Butler's not a Cinderella run. Butler had Gordon Hayward.
At some point, Butler stopped being a Cinderella.
They're not a Cinderella at all.
It's just a good basketball program.
They are a quality basketball program. They have been,
when's the last time they went to the tournament?
It's been a little while, but like those teams, who was the coach then? Was that that's not the former Celtics coach, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Brad Stevens.
Yep. Who I wanted at Indiana. Instead, he's hiding in the Celtics front office.
Yep.
No, that was not a Cinderella story, and they almost beat Duke. Now, it would have been a Cinderella if they won.
Oh, that shot.
They rimmed out.
I'll never forget that shot.
Unbelievable. Dunk City was electric.
Yeah.
Though, because of the style of play, it's probably Gulf Coast for me.
Yeah, I got to go St. Peter's because of the depth of it. They didn't quite get to the Final Four like Loyola Chicago, but the teams that they had to beat along the way, that's what's crazy about the run St. Peter's went on. As a school with they had like 600 undergrads. I mean, their gym is tiny. And did you know that St. Peter's on their roster is Zakai Ziegler's younger brother?
You did bring that up to me the other day. Or no, maybe Robert brought it up to me.
Yeah, that would not have been me.
I don't know why the hell Robert would have brought that up to me.
I mean, there's an alternate universe where if Rick Barnes doesn't go to that showcase in Georgia and notice Zakai Ziegler, there's an alternate universe where Zakai Ziegler is playing basketball for the St. Peter's Peacocks with his brother right now because Zakai had no looks, none when Tennessee kind of took him on a flyer after that showcase.
Okay, people are saying the 2019 Titans, the 2017 Predators. No, we're talking about basketball, damn it. I want to talk about basketball. It's March. Leave me alone. Damn Titans draft talk in 2017 or 2019 AFC Championship run. No, basketball, March, brackets, okay?
George Mason says L'Jarius.
People are saying Murray State with John Morant. John Morant on the team does not make you a Cinderella. The second overall pick in the NBA draft, and arguably the better player out of that draft over Zion, that's not a Cinderella. I will not stand for that. And Murray State has had good basketball teams.
Yeah, Murray State's a solid program.
Okay, so what do we know about Tennessee in the Midwest region? Well, we know that they're the number 2 seed. They had the opportunity to be a number 1 seed, but Carolina ultimately had a better resume. And when Purdue is number 1 on their side of the bracket, I would love to see Tennessee avenge themselves from a couple of years ago against Purdue. It would make me very happy, but that would be later. Now, history suggests, or perhaps BVS suggests, that a Final Four is unlikely for the sole reason that the Tennessee men's basketball program has never reached the Final Four. They've been to the Elite Eight once under Bruce Pearl. They lost to Michigan State and Draymond Green back in 2010. This is the best Rick Barnes team of his tenure here. What are we, 9 years of Rick Barnes on Rocky Top?
Yes, took over in 2015.
There are a variety of different teams in this side of the bracket that could probably undo Tennessee because just because you are a higher seed, the thing that makes the tournament so fun is that when you play in these neutral court environments, you're dealing with 18 and 19-year-olds, and these guys can get rattled at any given point. You can tell in college basketball more than any other sport how difficult it is to play on the road. Now, they should beat the Peacocks. They have to make it out of the first weekend. There is no question that that is the case. The team that probably most of you would be looking at further down the line is Creighton. Creighton is probably outside of Purdue, the team most capable of, well, Purdue wouldn't be an upset because they're a higher seed. Creighton is the team most likely to be able to upset Tennessee should the two meet in the tournament.
Yeah, that feels like a dangerous spot, playing Creighton in the Sweet 16.
So, as we look at Tennessee, Elite Eight or Sweet 16, what is the bar for a successful season? Because you have been to the Sweet 16 before. This team is thoroughly capable of getting to the Sweet 16.
You're there last year.
They're coming off arguably their worst performance of the year in the SEC tournament against Mississippi State, where they just got a leash put on them and dog-walked. They also dropped their regular season finale against Kentucky, where Kentucky couldn't miss at the Food City Center Arena. But they still have a top-flight scorer in Dalton Connect. They still have as much depth as any team, arguably, in the bracket. The biggest question marks on the team are who? Because I would argue Josiah Jordan-James and the underperforming, or I don't want to say the consistent underperforming this season, but just he's erratic to me, and that's not what I associate. That's not what I expected from him coming into the season. That is the result that I've gotten, and I understand that him and Santiago Vescovi have been put into different roles, and it's been kind of a transition for the two of them to try and get comfortable. But we've played an entire regular season, exhibition games, all manner of basketball at this point. By now, they should have it figured out. Who is the biggest variable for Tennessee in all of this? Because Josiah Jordan-James feels like one.
He definitely is one. But I'm going to say Vescovi. Because Vescovi, in the last 3 games, is 0 for 9 from 3. He's in a slump right now. And I was thinking this during the Mississippi State game when Tennessee just could not, for the life of them, hit a 3. When Zakai Ziegler's missing 3 3-pointers in the same possession, hitting the backboard, airballing. And every time Santiago Vescovi was getting an open look in that game, I was thinking, Santi, you have to make this. Santi, the last 2 games, you have to make this. And he went 0 for 4 in that SEC tournament loss against Mississippi State. And it got me thinking, at what point this season has Santiago Vescovi hit a big shot for Tennessee from 3?
That's a great question.
And
there's not one that comes to mind immediately for me.
One, the Kentucky game at Rupp Arena. That's the only one. And he went 4 for 5 against Vanderbilt. Tennessee ran the Commodores off the court in Knoxville. The Kentucky game, though, Vescovi was 3 for 4 from 3, 11 points. It was sort of and doing all the other things, right? The intangibles, that what he does on defense that keeps him on the floor for Rick Barnes' leadership, all of those things. That Kentucky game, 3 for 4 from 3, 11 points, is kind of a perfect encapsulation of what Tennessee needs from Santiago Vescovi this season. They don't need him to be their lead scorer anymore like they have at points in the last couple of years. They need him to be reliable and to hit open shots. And 0 for 9 in the last 3 games is not good enough. So Santiago Vescovi has got to snap into some sort of form in this tournament. He's got to get hot again because it's been tough to watch the thing that should be his biggest strength the thing that has had him at the top of the conference in terms of three-point percentage, take a massive dip this year. It's his worst three-point shooting year of his career. So I get Josiah Jordan-James, and you're right about that. But I'm looking at Santiago Vescovi that needs to bail Tennessee out when they need a big shot. And he's going to get open looks with the attention that's given to Dalton Knecht and Zakai Ziegler.
The people that cover this team every day are very down on them. Have you been reading our buddy Mike Wilson and Adam Sparks?
Yeah, I've been talking to Mike, too. Been texting back and forth. He joined me last week at the tournament. I think he'll join me Friday as well to react to whatever happens Thursday night.
So his latest article, here are 2 reasons why Tennessee can reach the program's first Final Four and 2 reasons it can't, basically saying why Tennessee can and can't reach the Final Four in their 2024 March Madness predictions. He's got quotes in here from Vescovi. We know now it's go time. It's where it really matters, and I'm very confident in the team that we're all going to do it. Okay, well, that's pretty general. Understand, and listen, it doesn't benefit him to say anything, to pound his chest because he's got no real reason to stand on it. But the thing that gives Tennessee a chance in every game is Dalton Knecht. Even in the Kentucky game where nobody else is really contributing and Kentucky can't miss, the guy puts up 40. Mississippi State, they had a good plan, and they have been consistent with that this season in the 2 wins over Tennessee, both in the regular season and in the SEC tournament. He's averaging 25.5 points per game in conference play, 21.1 points overall this season. He is capable of carrying the team, but I don't want to see him have to do it. I want to see a complete effort. I don't want to see dudes just kind of dishing to Knecht and then waiting around for him to do something and then getting back on defense. I want to see movement. I want to see guys taking open looks. I don't want to see ISO ball from Knecht. And they have done pretty well at avoiding that other than a few down moments. But, of course, this is a single elimination tournament, and those kind of things can pop up at any point. But there is no question that Dalton Knecht is the biggest reason why I would have confidence in Tennessee heading into this thing. I just need to know who around him I can consistently trust. And Zakai Ziegler has been that way more of late, to his credit. And you've heard Slay talk about, from inside the program, he's been the guy galvanizing them in the locker room, and that his frustrations were visible on Friday in their loss, and that's the first time that you've really seen that. You can't have those moments. Hopefully you got them out of your system on the way into this thing, but at this point, I don't know. We'll talk more about the rest of the field where it relates to the SEC when we get to Lucas's SEC observations here in just a second. But of the teams in the field from the conference, I don't know that I feel the best about Tennessee.
Well, they're definitely not the hottest, obviously, right? Auburn won the SEC tournament. Florida's playing better, coming in, making a run to the final. That Mississippi State game has to be the wake-up call. That has to be the stinker, right? Like, we need to be looking back at this March months from now saying, well, thank God they got that out of the way at Bridgestone and didn't do it in the opening weekend against Texas in the second round or whoever it might be. Texas now is playing Colorado State, who routed Virginia yesterday. I think Virginia set the game of basketball back like 30 years yesterday. My God, they were dreadful. 67-42 in the play-in game. I think proving a lot of people right that didn't think Virginia belonged in the field as a 10 seed. But also, Rick Barnes, it was funny, said in this press conference, too, he was just watching this election show. It's going to be Clemson or Texas, just knowing, because you see this stuff pop up every now and then, the committee pitting Rick Barnes against Texas, his former school where he was at for 17 years. I will add, though, Rick Barnes had one Final Four run at Texas. It was in 2003. And that year, Texas went one and done in the Big 12 tournament. Had kind of a no-show performance against Oklahoma, only scored 45 points in a Big 12 quarterfinal loss. I'm just saying.
615-737-1045 is how you can jump in. Like I said, Casey Alexander is going to be in studio with us, and we will fill out our brackets before tournament play begins on the air here tomorrow. We're carrying a bunch of the tournament games, including the Vols game on Thursday night, an 8:20 tip against the mighty St. Peter's Peacocks, of which Lucas does not fear and has been brazenly beating his chest about. Speaking of which, it is time. You are running out of time, as a matter of fact. It's a matter of mere hours for you to go to 1045thezone.com and fill out your $1 million bracket challenge, sponsored by Scoreboard Bar and Grill, for a chance to win $1 million. Plus, we are giving away a pair of tickets to see Chris Stapleton at Bridgestone Arena for the best local bracket score. It's a local contest. Go sign up at 1045thezone.com today, because the bracket challenge is officially in effect. Should be a great time.
Wouldn't it be interesting to see Tennessee meet South Carolina in the Sweet 16?
You don't want that, do you? You survived them once.
I don't know.
Have to do it again?
I don't know who I would rather play, South Carolina or Creighton. South Carolina, obviously a very familiar opponent. Tennessee's worst performance of the season until that Mississippi State game was against South Carolina at home.
And the way that they went on the road to beat South Carolina in a huge spot is pretty galvanizing, but I don't...
There's a fist fight. It's a fist fight when you play South Carolina, but they get Oregon in the first round, and then they play the winner between Creighton and Akron, and people are really high on Creighton, the 3 seed out of the Midwest. And they want to play it slow, kind of like South Carolina, but they want to shoot way more threes. They rely much more on the long ball than South Carolina does. I mean, they're top 10 in the country in terms of the percentage of their field goal attempts being 3-point shots, 49%. That worries me for Tennessee, for a team that can both drag you down at their pace and light it up from deep. That feels like a recipe to beat this team. So I don't know who I would rather avoid in the Sweet 16, if it's Creighton or South Carolina.
I didn't get a chance to see their loss to Providence in the Big East tournament, and they only won. Providence only won by 5. It was a close game throughout, but I didn't get a chance to see what exactly cost them that game. Creighton is consistently a good program, though, and
by the way, Providence feels slighted. They feel snubbed.
You want to cape up for him real quick?
No,
I'm giving you. Would you have more on Providence?
Kim English, the former Tennessee assistant, I mean, torched the committee for not, bull bleep that they didn't get in, according to Kim English.
Oh, did he say bull bleep?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, very good. Strong words. Ron Slay's in the YouTube chat. He says, why is no one worried about UK or Bama with what they've shown this year? Slay, I assume you're talking about, like, worried in terms of UK or Bama falling short, as opposed to being concerned about facing UK.
You should be.
Or Alabama.
Their fan bases should be worried.
Their fan bases should be worried, but I don't want to be the team that gets Kentucky or Alabama on a night that they can, on the night that they're feeling it, right? Because when they're hitting from range, they are deadly. They will bury you.
Why don't we talk about them? Between Kentucky and Alabama, who should be more on upset alert?
That's next. Slay is in a full-on argument in the F&M Bank chat. He's caping up for his Vols, and that's fine. Read some of his comments here in just a second. Your phone calls are welcome. Lucas has some SEC observations. We got anything for the dumbest thing in sports this week? Anything to give away?
Let me check.
Okay. Why don't you do that? That's at 11. Nate Washington at 12:20. Talk some Titans in the noon hour. Slay is saying, of the level of concern for UK and Bama fans about potential upsets, he doesn't understand why so many people are worried about Tennessee and not sharing the same sentiments about Bama UK. Well, of course they're sharing the same sentiments about Bama UK, Slay. Of course they are. In fact, Bama fans and Kentucky fans are way more concerned, it seems to me, than are Tennessee fans, other than a little bit of BVS at the end of the year to end your regular season, your SEC tournament. I don't hear Slay's a little sensitive, understandably so, about the Vols. But because he says, all I keep hearing is Tennessee. Well, yeah, because they've just lost the last two games that they've played, and that's going to be a huge local discourse around here. But there's plenty of teams who you're looking at in the bracket and having questions about. And Tennessee also comes with the stigma of a tournament choking coach. That's how Rick Barnes is viewed nationally.
Well, both can be true that nobody wants to play Tennessee, right? Like when Tennessee's on, they can beat anybody in the country. I think they've proved that. So you can want to avoid playing Tennessee, but you can also be in the mode of, I'll believe it when I see it. Like that's where I am with Purdue. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it, that Matt Painter can take them to a Final Four, but I sure as hell don't want to play them on their way to doing it.
Yeah.
With Cal, though, I think we may be approaching that in this era.
No, Cal is for sure. Cal doesn't get talked about near enough in those contexts or in those terms, but he should be.
Like he's got a Final Four in the last decade. He's got a national championship under his belt. So he has that proof of concept, but can you tell me how many times Kentucky's made it out of the opening weekend in the last 5 years?
Twice.
Once. How many SEC tournament wins does Kentucky have in the last 5 years?
One.
So we're getting to that territory with Cal. 100%.
No, I think we're there.
Yeah, sure.
Barnes is just a longer sample size, and it goes back to not just Tennessee, but Texas as well. Anyway, observations.
Let's talk about SEC, baby. Let's talk about the SEC. Let's talk about Nick Saban and Josh Heupel in the SEC. Let's talk about SEC, baby. Let's talk about the SEC. Let's talk about Brian Kelly and Greg Sankey in the SEC. Let's talk about SEC.
Let's talk about matchups.
You cut it off.
I guess I did cut off the set. Okay, all right. Well, this make you feel better.
SEC.
There you go. You happy?
Yes. Let the song play.
So let's talk about matchups. Which SEC teams should be on upset alert in the first round? We'll start in the East. Auburn, the 4 seed, I think they probably feel a little miffed by that. And I feel like this, I mean, we've talked about this for years, that the Sunday conference championships, like there's been discussions about should the SEC move its conference title game to Saturday, like every other Power 5 conference apart from the Big Ten does. Because it feels like the Sunday conference championships do not factor in to what the committee does on Selection Sunday. I mean, the selection show was literally immediately after the Big Ten championship. Immediately after. You're going to tell me that the result of the Big Ten championship had them tinkering at all? No way. So, anyway, Auburn wins the SEC tournament. They're a 4 seed anyway. They get matched up with 13 seed Yale that had one of the most enjoyable finishes to a conference tournament to watch all weekend. Brown. With a losing record, was about to go to the NCAA tournament up 1 at the free throw line. They missed both free throws, and Yale with the layup buzzer beater to go to the dance.
Good. I don't want teams with losing records in the tournament. Lucas.
I like watching teams with losing records get to the tournament.
You and ties and teams with losing records in March Madness is a very bizarre kink that you have.
This is one of Bruce Pearl's best defensive teams at Auburn. It's one of his deepest. They've got a solid 10 deep rotation. I have a hard time thinking Yale's going to be athletic enough to run with Auburn in this game. So maybe that's the kiss of death. And Yale, the Bulldogs, I believe, right? Are they the Bulldogs?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Yale knock off Auburn. I don't see it happening. Mississippi State against Michigan State, keeping it in. No, this is in the West. Mississippi State the 8, Michigan State the 9. A lot of people didn't think Michigan State should have gotten in. But Mississippi State finished strong. Dominant win over Tennessee. Strong showing against Auburn in the SEC tournament when they got eliminated. This is a good matchup in the paint, but Michigan State struggles to defend the three. If Josh Hubbard gets hot, Mississippi State wins this game for me. I'm going State. Do you have an early prediction for Mississippi State, Michigan State, the battle of the MSUs?
An early prediction? I mean, just seeing the way that Mississippi State has bullied teams throughout the course of the season and understanding that this is not Izzo's best team, it's tough for me to pick against Izzo, though. You know? I mean, even if Michigan State doesn't have the kind of talent that we typically associate with, but it would be no real basketball reason other than like Mr. March is Tom Izzo. I don't have a really good explanation to pick Michigan State over Mississippi State other than Izzo.
Slay in the F&M Bank chat says Jones Jr. will go crazy in that game for Mississippi State too. I think we're all in agreement there. Mississippi State with the W over Michigan State. In the South, A&M plays Nebraska, the Trev Alberts game, the AD that bolted Nebraska for Texas A&M.
And nobody's calling it the Trev Alberts game.
The Trev Alberts game. Kentucky plays Oakland. So we kind of left the last segment talking about, okay, who should be on upset alert, Kentucky or Alabama? Kentucky gets Oakland, a 14 seed. I think this Kentucky team should be able to outscore any 14 seed they get matched up with, personally.
I agree.
And they finished the season hot, apart from their no-show in the SEC tournament. Alabama and Charleston. The offensive firepower and defensive struggles are very well documented with Alabama. You kept reiterating the stat. How many times have they scored 100 points this season?
9.
They've given up 100 like 3 times in the last 3 weeks, too. Charleston relies very heavily on the three. Almost half their field goal attempts are beyond the arc. This is my upset alert in the SEC.
Oh, really?
In the round of 64.
Oh, I don't know, man.
Charleston and Alabama. Obviously, that means Charleston will have to be hot. They will have to be drilling those threes. Alabama has not been able to stop anybody this year. And Bama's going to score. But if Charleston gets hot, I think they will, Kyle says, at least give them a close game. I think they could knock off Alabama in a 14-3 upset.
They're 175th in KenPom's adjusted defensive efficiency rankings, Lucas.
Stop trying to bring logic into this. It's March.
Well, sure, but 175th? Not even March can produce that for you.
What would you have said if I picked St. Peter's to the Elite Eight 2 years ago?
I would have agreed.
Stop it.
I'm picking them this weekend.
Bama, upset alert. South Carolina plays Oregon, who won the Pac-12 as a 4 seed. They are hot. South Carolina got blitzed by Auburn. They've lost by 40 both times they've played Auburn. My goodness, that's a bad matchup.
Auburn's the team that we trust the most out of the SEC teams in the tournament, right? Like, there's no question. More than Tennessee, more than Kentucky, more than Mississippi State, more than South Carolina. Like, Auburn and Bruce Pearl, with that defense, that is the team that I'm relying on the most, that I think is the most capable of surviving the matchups that they have ahead of them should they continue to advance through the weekend. I don't know how you could push back on any team but Auburn.
They're obviously the hottest simply because they won the SEC tournament, and I think they could match up well with almost any team in the country. They're in that UConn bracket in the East, which is a really tough bracket, but I think Auburn's going to easily be able to get out of the opening weekend. They might get an Alabama matchup in the second round against UAB. Andy Kennedy's got a great team at UAB, but UAB plays San Diego State in a 12-5 game in the East. Winner of that game will play the winner between Auburn and Yale, and then Auburn potentially would get matched up with UConn in the Sweet 16.
That's a tough draw.
Yeah, that's a tough draw.
For UConn.
Yeah, for both. That would be a great game to watch.
Do we have anything to give away for the dumbest thing in sports?
We sure do. We have a $50 gift card to World of Beer. $50 that you will be able to pick up the prize here at the station at some point in the near future if you give us the best submission for the dumbest thing in sports this week. $50 gift card to World of Beer Nashville.
615-737-1045 is the number. All you got to do is give us the dumbest thing in sports this week.
It is 11:01. Good morning. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone studios. The Nashville Predators' hot streak continued Tuesday night, an 8-2 win over the Sharks at Bridgestone Arena. The point streak has extended to 15 games. That ties a franchise record. Preds travel to the Florida Panthers tomorrow night. The men's NCAA tournament got underway last night with the first four. Wagner beating Howard for the 16 seed. They'll play North Carolina on Thursday. Colorado State routed Virginia. They are now the 10 seed in the Midwest and will face Texas on Thursday. Winner of that game will play the winner between Tennessee and St. Peters. In NFL free agency news, the Jets signed free agent wide receiver Mike Williams to a one-year deal with max value of $15 million. Williams was released by the Chargers earlier this offseason. The Browns signed newly acquired receiver Jerry Jeudy to a 3-year extension worth $58 million, $41 million in guaranteed money. And new Saints defensive end signing Chase Young will reportedly miss part of training camp after undergoing neck surgery. Young signed a one-year, $13 million fully guaranteed deal with New Orleans this week. Titans have made it official, the free agency signings of kicker Nick Folk and defensive lineman Sebastian Joseph Day. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second hour, we got the dumbest thing in sports this week here in just a second. If you give us the dumbest thing in sports, we'll give you a $50 gift card to World of Beer. Exciting stuff.
Great place to watch March Madness.
Have you been?
Yes, I've been to World of Beer one time. Cool spot.
I hear they have good wings.
Yeah,
I don't know if
you're afraid to eat them in public, though.
Well, yeah, I don't eat wings in public. Nothing wrong with that. Do you not have a single food? Actually, I've been in public with you when you've eaten. I still don't understand how one puts fried ravioli, chocolate cake, chicken wings, and what else did you have on your plate at the last Preds game we went to? Indigestion.
Oh, it was a great spread.
It was indigestion.
I've never seen somebody so afraid of experiencing joy just because you're so afraid of what other people will think of you.
Yeah, I don't like eating wings in public. It's, I don't bother you about things that you don't like. You don't need to bother me about not wanting to eat wings in public. It's okay. 615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion to enter for the opportunity to win. So let's go ahead and do it as soon as Lucas quits fielding phone calls.
Let's be honest. You've already seen something this week that made you say,
What the is this?
That's bullshit.
What the hell? Give me some more now.
something so mind-numbingly idiotic that you just want to get it off your chest.
Dumber than a second coat of paint.
Some idiot.
You are really dumb. For real.
It's the dumbest thing in sports this week on the Buck Rising Show.
Get in there. 615-737-1045 is the number. Perhaps me not eating wings in public is your dumbest thing in sports. We could take those submissions. Square Up on YouTube says Buck likes boneless wings, a.k.a. chicken nuggets. No, it's not about that. I won't eat those in public either. Things with sauce. Not in public. Not ribs, not chicken wings, not nothing. Anyway. My dumbest thing in sports this week is Conor McGregor, who we're actually going to talk about a little later because that fight with Mike Chandler is apparently officially on. But did you happen to read the article that I sent you for the Conor McGregor audio that we were looking for? Okay. He's doing the rounds because we don't, as a society, we don't make original films anymore. Have you noticed that? We just remake everything, whether it's Lion King, whether it's The Little Mermaid. We've officially, as a society, run out of creative things to make movies out of.
Sometimes we get in there with a creative idea.
What's the last good original movie that you've seen?
Saltburn.
That wasn't a good movie.
You didn't see it.
That's not true.
When did you see Saltburn?
I saw it the other day. I just didn't happen to watch it with you. I read the New York Times review. I wasn't thrilled about the New York Times review. Watched it the other day at the house. Didn't like it.
How's it end?
I don't know.
You didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it. But Conor McGregor is in the new Roadhouse remake, okay? Because sticking with the theme of just putting stars who probably aren't good at acting in big movies because they'll sell with brand names that people recognize, Roadhouse with Conor McGregor is the next one. Now, he is apparently taking great pride in the fact that he's just out here taking out stuntmen because Conor McGregor is not actually pulling punches where somebody like him could be classified his body as a weapon, okay? He is somebody who fights for a living. He's down in the sewers of the fight game, okay? He knows how to legitimately hurt people. Conor McGregor apparently is taking great pride in promoting the movie Roadhouse in how many stuntmen he was able to take out. Congratulations to Conor McGregor. Quote, I put a few of them down. Spinning back kicks and all? Yeah. Spinning back kicks to the ribs, a couple head kicks, a couple of side kicks to the head as well. I won't tell the story, but there were some real shots for sure. Congratulations, you D-bag. You can take, as a professional fighter, you can hit a stuntman really, really hard. I think so little of Conor McGregor, and I hope Mike Chandler beats the absolute piss out of him whenever they get a chance to fight, and I think that he will. But this dude, he continues to be unlikable, which is good for the fight game. Floyd Mayweather's not a fun character. He's a really problematic guy. People want to see Floyd get knocked out, and he continues to bob and weave his way through fights for 20-plus years at this point. Conor McGregor being a villain is not new. But the idea that he's out here promoting his movie by saying, yeah, I took out a bunch of stuntmen with flying kicks to the head. Sick, dude. Happy for you.
My dumbest thing in sports is the charade that we do each and every draft season where one player is the bona fide one at his respective position until he's not, despite not a single snap of football being played in that time span. Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network tweeted 2 days ago, I wouldn't be shocked if Malik Neighbors ended up being the first receiver off the board. I love Marvin Harrison Jr. and Rome Odunze, but Neighbors brings a different element. It'll come down to preference of style, but I guarantee some teams will have Neighbors at the top of the list. Now, people have been replying and quoting him, and he replied, to clarify, he's got Marvin Harrison Jr. number one. For him, it's Harrison, Neighbors, Odunze. But Dane Brugler was echoing some of this, too, that, hey, don't be surprised if Malik Neighbors is the first off the board. So I'm not calling Daniel Jeremiah or Dane Brugler the dumbest thing in sports this week. They are relaying things that I believe are true, that there are teams that are considering Malik Neighbors to be wide receiver one. But what's changed? Like, are we going to do this where, like we did with Zach Wilson, where Zach Wilson rose up to the number 2 quarterback in the draft because of his pro day and because of what he did at the combine and all of these things, despite not a single snap of football being played in that time? Like, Marvin Harrison Jr. has been the bona fide prodigy prospect this entire time, and I really don't want to do that. Well, maybe Neighbors is a better player, could be drafted first thing leading up to the draft.
You know the only hole that I'll poke in that for you? Coaches don't watch these guys, Lucas, until basically the combine. So that Daniel, like that, and that probably surprises a fair amount of people. So when Daniel Jeremiah or Dane Brugler relay that kind of information, that's not coming from the scouts who have poured hours on hours on hours into time and effort on this. Coaches don't get to these guys typically until Senior Bowl, combine.
Sure.
And so they're playing catch up. So when you see stuff like that, you can, I'm not saying that you're wrong for making it your dumbest thing in sports, but it's just not that uncommon a practice for coaches to be late to the game, essentially, because they've spent the entire year trying to get through a football season and make sure that they have a game plan to beat the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday or whatever the case may be. So I don't get as bent about that as you do, because I legitimately take them at their word, knowing that coaches in particular, again, not scouts, not GMs, but coaches with organizations will look around and be like, oh, I like that guy better than Marvin Harrison Jr.
And it's easy to put on Malik Neighbors' tape and be more blown away by it with the speed and how exciting LSU's offense was, had the Heisman Trophy winner, Jaden Daniels, back there. Marvin Harrison Jr., the way that his production stayed even-keeled, completely consistent from year to year, from 2022 to 2023, is remarkable with the dip in quarterback play that Ohio State had from 22 to 23. from C.J. Stroud, who had one of the best rookie years in NFL history this past season, to Kyle McCord. He had 50 less receiving yards this season than he did in 2022, Marvin Harrison Jr., 1,211 yards, and the exact same amount of touchdowns with 14. 15 total with the rushing touchdowns, so one more. I just don't see how we can, let's not do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this thing where, well, maybe Malik Neighbors is the best. No, he's not. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best wide receiver in this draft.
But Lucas, if a team has him stacked higher on a draft board, what are you going to, you're going to go shake down the New York, I'm not saying the Jets do, but let's just use the Jets as an example. You're going to shake down the New York Jets organization? Be like, no, you idiot. Watch more Ohio State football.
Sure. Jets make dumb decisions all the time. And they're not in a position to take either of those guys.
Oh, no. Teams make dumb decisions all the time.
Sure.
You're not wrong in that.
I remember this with Trayvon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson, looking around like, well, what?
Yep.
What are we doing here? What?
Somebody got to the tape late, said, I like him over Aiden Hutchinson, and then took him number 1 overall. Wah, wah, wah. All right, for the opportunity to win a $50 gift card to World of Beer. We'll take your phone calls on the dumbest thing in sports this week. Coming up next, we will also get into the Titans and the cornerback position. They continue to be in the rumor mill for L'Jarius Sneed. They are also meeting with one former All-Pro. We'll get into all of that on the other side. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. All right, we got a $50 gift card to World of Beer where you can take in the tournament games. You can eat some wings. How many different kinds of beer does World of Beer have?
You
know the answer to that
find out.
question? Okay. You can go sample all manner of beer. Do you have a particular kind of beer? Bert keeps leaving sours in my fridge, which look disgusting.
Yeah, Bert's a big sour guy. I'm not. I can barely get through half a sour before I'm like, okay, I can't do this anymore.
No. I'm not a beer guy anyway, but plenty of you are. And we have a $50 gift card if you give us the dumbest thing in sports this week. 615-737-1045 is how you give us your submission. How about we start with Caleb in Nashville? Hey, Caleb.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, otherwise I wouldn't have said hello.
I'm sorry, man. I don't know, man. Last night, that Anthony Edwards dunk, who was that, John Collins that stood in the way? He took it. That was pretty dumb. And I don't know about parlays I've been making on FanDuel are super dumb. So that's just kind of pretty much all I have, man.
Okay, Caleb. I appreciate it. Well, that was 2 nights ago with Anthony Edwards and John Collins. And I can't speak to your gambling habits, but the Tennessee Red Line is 1-800-889-9789 if you need gambling help. We appreciate the call. Doug and Franklin.
Hey, Buck.
Hey.
My dumbest thing was last night having Virginia in the tournament.
Oh. All right. So, how did you experience that, Doug? Because Virginia, I have maintained, as long as Tony Bennett has been there, and I know they've won a national championship, they have set basketball back 50 years. How did you experience that game? Because you probably watched way more of it than you should have.
Yes, I did. I watched the whole second half just because I'm a March Madness addict, so I had to watch it.
Ugh. You see, you mentioned this morning, Lucas, when you and I were talking about this, that Tony Bennett said they're going to have to reevaluate their system.
So we certainly have to take a look at things from a system perspective.
They just drag you into the muck.
I mean, how much time has to pass before the equity of a national championship kind of fizzles?
Ask Kentucky
for
fans.
For Tony Bennett. Yeah, Kentucky fans are in that same dilemma. And if Kentucky flames out of the opening weekend this year, I'm willing to say that at least half of the Kentucky fan base is going to want Cal out of there.
Oh, you don't think they're already there?
I think they're wait and see because of the way they ended the regular season really strong, probably pretty pissed about what happened in the SEC tournament. But, I mean, they're going to wait and see. If Kentucky gets to the Elite Eight, then, I think a lot of them will calm down. But if they flame out horribly in the first or second round, they're going to want him out of there. I wonder if Virginia fans are at that point with Tony Bennett.
Kyle in Springfield is next with the dumbest thing in sports this week.
What's going on, boys?
Yo.
Actually, I got to give PK a shout-out because he brought it to my attention. But the dumbest thing in sports this week goes to Jordan Schultz and Rappaport. For both reporting that the Chase Young deal was $13 million guaranteed before doing their fact-checking. It's actually like $2 million guaranteed, and then it's $8 million on a per-game bonus.
Yeah, it's not that they didn't do their fact-checking. It's that they – and PK's been on this for a while, and sometimes, I think he's excessive with it, but he's out here policing journalism on the internet when it comes to reporting on contracts, and he's allowed to do that if he wants to. So this is the tweet at Paul Kaharski. So Adam Schefter, because here's the details on the Chase Young deal, all right? 1 year, $13 million contract includes $7.99 million in per-game roster bonuses per source, $2.7 million base salary, $1.86 million in signing bonus, workout bonuses of $450,000, per-game roster bonuses of $7.99. And it was reported as what, Lucas? A fully guaranteed $13 million deal. So it's not that they didn't do their fact-checking. It's that an agent, and this is not to out anybody, but agents, when they get the deals done, they send it to the biggest insiders who tweet it out, a lot of times verbatim, and it puts the agent in a favorable light, which makes the agent more attractive when you see, as negotiated by, let's just say, for example, Drew Rosenhaus, when the insiders like Rapp and Schefter are tagging those agents, it's publicity. And that's how the information game works a lot of times. Those guys have a platform. I don't think anybody has more followers in NFL media than Adam Schefter, right? Schefter is what? 10.9 million people follow Adam Schefter, okay? So he's got a big old platform. So when you give Adam Schefter information, basically the trade there is that he's going to give you credit and put the deal out there in the terms that are most favorable to the agency that negotiated the deal. Now, that's the give and take that those guys play at the highest level, and I'm not going to be, I think when people go at him for it, it comes off a little bitter because you're not getting the text from the agent with the inside source a lot of times. But also, I don't think that Paul's incorrect there. That's just misrepresenting the Chase Young deal to say that it's a $13 million fully guaranteed contract, and then somebody goes back and looks at the contract details like Jonathan Jones, our buddy at CBS Sports, did, and says, no, he's making X amount of money in per-game roster bonuses, provided that he makes it to those games because he's just coming off a neck surgery, or he's getting ready to have a neck surgery, and none of these other teams would medically clear him but the Saints. So, it's kind of the dirty part of the information business. What?
Our buddy Jonathan Jones.
Jonathan Jones is a friend of mine.
What's his mom's name?
I don't know. I don't know your mom's name. I spend 3 hours a day with you. You don't know my mom's name.
Yeah, Karen. She's called into the show.
Well, that's cheating. Your mom doesn't call the show.
No, she definitely does not.
What's your mom's name?
Mulaney.
Okay, that's a lovely name. I'll text Jonathan Jones right now if you want me to and ask him his mother's name. Just no context. Should I send him that text?
You just wanted to tell us you have his number. You were in a constant state of clout seeking.
Lucas, that has nothing to do. He's a friend of ours. You know how much time I've spent watching bad Marcus Mariota passes on the sideline of Titans training camp with Jonathan Jones?
I have never.
You be down there in the muck with us.
I have never been in the same room as Jonathan Jones.
That doesn't mean that I'm not friends with him. I don't take you everywhere that I go, unfortunately for you. 615-737. He is a good, well, fine, he's a friend of mine. Does that make it more appropriate? You want to find me again? I'll go ahead and pay that fine. Worth it.
Yeah, I know that guy.
It's not a big deal. I mean, it's like every time Blue texts me about something we're talking about on the show, I say Lucas's roommate Blue. You're going to find yourself for that?
No, there's no clout that comes with that. I love
you
Blue.
You don't know that.
But I love Blue. There's no clout.
So now there's internal strife in the Panzika. I don't even know Blue's last name. I just know him as Blue. You know what he saved in my phone as?
What?
Blue roommate.
Blue roommate.
And he's not my roommate. Your roommate. Anyway. Okay. Trey in Nashville next.
Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing today?
Good.
Hey, so John Morant has gotten suspended again for brandishing a firearm on his IG. He can't even go in the building over there in Memphis, dude. That is my dumbest thing in sports.
No, did he really?
Yes, dude.
Oh, my God.
Bro. Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you for the call. Did he really again?
I think Trey just won the gift card. That is the dumbest thing in sports.
Jesus. You got to be kidding me. Why am I not finding this anywhere in the I just Googled John Morant and news.
Yeah, John Morant, Fox Sports. John Morant's return to Grizzlies has, quote, no timetable after flashing gun
it's a video
on IG Live.
How is this not a bigger headline?
There's a discussion on Fox Sports. Should John Morant be suspended for flashing gun on IG Live? It's like, it's such an easy thing to not do.
What the hell is his problem?
I don't get it. I do not understand. I don't understand. New gun video surfaces online with John Morant.
He did this 5 hours ago? Or is the article out there 5 hours ago?
No, this is from 1 day ago. John Morant suspended from all Grizzlies activities after new gun video surfaces online. That's from Fox Sports. Like, I don't understand.
You got it. I mean, well, what makes it, well, okay, give Trey the gift card.
Trey's getting the gift card. That wins.
Wow. Okay, thank you for the call, Trey.
It's like when like a little kid, when you're a kid and your mom and your parents really don't want you to do something and they reprimand you for doing it, and you do it again just to show them that you don't care, right? Like you're in that phase of like as a child.
Oh, were you a rebel?
A little rebel, yeah. And it could be something as simple. I don't know.
I just have I have a visual now of a defiant Lucas Panzica.
Yeah, go mow the lawn. No. But that's what John Moran is doing right now. That's what this is. Like what?
But he's not a little boy. He's 24 years old. And this is the thing that pisses me off about the way that athletes are coddled. Because I think they are. I think that, does it not feel like people treat, and listen, 24 years old is not, he's not full grown. It's not Gundy, right? I'm a man. I'm 40. Take it out on me. This is not an 18-year-old. This is not a 16-year-old. This is not a teenager. It's a 24-year-old man who's been in professional sports now for what, 5 years at least? But he gets coddled, and I think this is of a lot of athletes where people look at their age because maybe you're in your 40s, your 50s. I'm in my 30s now, so I think of guys as young. I mean, they are younger than me, but that doesn't make them children. They need to kick him out of the league for an entire year. He's coming off a 25-game suspension before he got injured. The Grizzlies are an absolute disaster without him, but the NBA wants stars. They accepted, you remember the first suspension for this stuff where he put out some BS statement, some bull bleep statement about how apologetic he was, about how he's going to leave the game for a period of time. He's going to go seek help that was clearly crafted by whatever agent is representing him and just trying to get him back out there instead of getting him actual help. Because he needs actual help. And I know, listen, I don't know much about Memphis. I've never been, okay? And there are a lot of things about the way that people talk about Memphis that I don't think are fairly characterized, but there is a certain level of culture there, and I don't know if he's just trying to fit in or if he's around a certain type of person that is encouraging this. But like, Lucas, the second time that he did it, it's not even his IG Live. He's on his buddy's IG Live. They're driving around in the car. They're rapping to some lyrics, and Ja pulls out a gun, and the buddy immediately tries to protect him by putting the phone away. And Ja's just pulling out the piece.
Now, I will say, I'm having trouble tracking anything down other than, like, Fox Sports.
That's the only thing that I'm seeing about it.
Yeah, this is weird. Because this was in the news because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson had a diss to Ja Morant. He was in Memphis recently. He said something to the effect of, embarrassing like Ja Morant waving a gun around. So I'm wondering if these are actually like recycled videos from the last time this happened.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. I'm having a hard time finding like legit news.
Because it's from Fox Sports. It's like Fox Sports
5
videos.
hours ago.
Yeah, 19 hours ago. Ja Morant's return to Grizzlies has no timetable after flashing a gun on IG Live. But I'm wondering if these are just getting recycled back around because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson kind of took a shot at Ja Morant for waving guns on Instagram in a wrestling thing the other day.
Oh, my God. Did we just get got? Trey.
We might have just got
All right. Well, Trey can't have the gift card now.
Damn, sorry, Trey.
All right. Now I feel bad.
But, so Fox Sports is out here, posting. Reposting old reaction to Ja Morant getting suspended for waving a gun around, I guess because it's kind of a talking point because The Rock called him out.
I feel like we should be fined for that.
So we should be fined for that. Okay. I don't know if this actually happened.
It doesn't look like it did. I feel like we just slandered Ja Morant unnecessarily there. I don't feel like we did. We just did.
Bad job by Fox Sports.
Bad job by us. What do you mean? Don't pin this on Fox Sports. This is
deflecting the blame.
Lucas, I'm the one who said I can't find anything on it other than a Fox Sports video. You're the one who led me down this path. It's your fault. Find yourself. Do it again right now. Okay.
Sorry, Ja. Damn, who do we give it to then?
I don't know. Not Trey. God. All right, Trey, you know what we're now instituting? Trey now has a suspension on the show. Trey calls us regularly throughout the course of the week. Trey is now suspended for a period of time.
No, it's not on Trey.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. You have to vet these things before you come in here.
Trey doesn't have to do a damn thing. We have to vet these things before
he just came on the air and said Ja Morant's getting suspended again.
And Trey gets to call in and do whatever he wants on the phone. We're the ones with the burden of vetting things, not Trey.
I think we all got by Trey.
I think we did.
Is Trey the dumbest thing in sports this week?
Should he get the gift card anyway?
I think we are.
Sorry, Ja.
All right, Kyle. Did we already take Kyle in Springfield?
I don't know.
Kyle, did we already take your call?
Yeah, I was the Rappaport call.
All right, give it to him.
Congratulations, Kyle.
Unbelievable. To Trey's defense, Fox did repost the article. Okay, so that's not an ideal situation. I feel like I just had a whole John Morant rant unnecessarily based off that. But yeah, sometimes you get got. 615-737-1045 is the number. Reads like fake news from Fox. Now we're getting tweets about this. Yeah, it's terrible. Absolutely terrible. I feel like I need to be the dumbest thing in sports this week. All right, we'll see if we can't rebound from that. Coming up next, we'll talk about the latest with L'Jarius Sneed, with a former Bills All-Pro that the Titans are going to have a visit with at corner. We'll see if we can't do better on the other side. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Below MSRP? Below MSRP. Below MSRP. It's pretty simple. Two Rivers Ford sells all new non-specialty Fords below MSRP.
Is that the worst segment in the history of the radio show?
It's on the Mount Rushmore of horrible segments.
What else is up there? Other than like the first day that we were on the air because we were just awful.
That's a good question.
We should probably leave that to the audience to determine as opposed to you and me.
Put it to a poll. What's the worst segment we have ever done?
And was that one? God. Bad job by us. Anyway, we can rebound with a little bit of Titans offseason talk. 615-737-1045 if you want to join the discussion. Looking at some of the news to come out yesterday, the Titans are planning a visit with Tre'Davious White, the former Bills All-Pro corner. Now, it's been some time since he's been an All-Pro because he's dealt with a significant amount of injury, including last year. Do you want a 29-year-old cornerback coming off an Achilles tear? Even if it's on a one-year deal. Not an ACL, an Achilles. Achilles injuries are one of the injuries that oftentimes sap athleticism from a professional athlete. More so than just about anything but a back. I think that their interest, and he's planning to take a variety of different visits. He was one of the cap-clearing measures made by the Bills. Adam Schefter reported that the Giants and the Titans will meet with him later this week after he visits with the Raiders and Rams, which he did on Monday and Tuesday, respectively. So he's going to do a cross-country tour, it seems. 2021, he tore his ACL, missed some time. His 2023 season was ended by that torn Achilles. He was among many injuries that the Bills sustained on defense. He's been a solid player, but again, the Achilles thing is the big sticking point there for me. Is there any cost? I mean, like, I don't know that he's going to come here and play for vet minimum coming off an Achilles tear. That's not my expectation, nor should he settle for that, because I think somebody would give him money. But if it's a matter of paying, let's say in a hypothetical world where you give up a 2025 third-round pick has been discussed, as has been reported, for L'Jarius Sneed on top of paying a contract for the Kansas City Chiefs star, would you rather do that for $22 million a year, or would you rather have guys like White on a one-year kind of prove-it deal? The way that you had Sean Murphy Bunting. What did Murphy Bunting make last year? Like 5.5, 5.25, something in that ballpark? Christian Fulton also fits this bill, though it's a much less significant injury, right? Soft tissue hamstring stuff versus an outright Achilles tear. This is something that you're going to have to measure because you still, and cap space trackers are tough to trust. I would look at them more as estimates than I would anything else. But let's just say the Titans have between $45 and $40 million in cap space to spend. They might have a little more. They might have a little less. But let's just operate in that ballpark. It's probably third or fourth most still of teams who have finances to work with. I haven't seen anything about Christian Fulton signing with the Chargers. I do know that he took a visit there this week. Tre'Davious White is interesting. He has to get through these visits before he can sign, and, he would have to clear a medical evaluation, though the Saints did give Chase Young that deal without him being able to clear a medical evaluation as he gets ready to have a neck operation next week.
White had never had a major injury in his career until the ACL tear in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And, I remember it was heavily documented that he kind of, dealt with some mental health stuff, went into a depression, coming back from that injury. He was on the physically unable to perform list for a long stretch of the 2022 season. And he only played 6 games in 2022 and then blew out his Achilles in week 4 of last year. So he's played in 10 games over the last 2 years since tearing his ACL in 2021.
It's kind of like the Tyron Smith proposition. But again, Tyron Smith didn't have an Achilles tear.
And he's a New York Jet.
They're putting together the all-IR team in New York.
Doesn't that just feel like a recipe for...
What are they doing?
Left
Mike
tackle
Williams?
is solved until week 3 when he goes down, and then they're just in the exact same place. They're just in another desperate situation.
Mike Williams, 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, Tyron Smith coming off of all these injuries. Okay. Jets have added a lot of different pieces on the offensive line, though. They're clearly trying to help support Rodgers as he comes off this injury as best they can. I get it.
They got to lean into this.
Lean into what?
Lean into just taking every swing they can for this season.
Yeah. Well, it's because they all know they're about to get fired if they don't.
Right. Like that. I have no problem with the Jets making the moves they're making.
So I think that locker room playing dolphin noises all season. Says somebody in the FNM Bank chat.
And so you know how the 49ers walk out to the field with the big boom box, like Trent Williams holding it and Debo's in front of them.
Bouncing around,
yeah. It's going to be that, except dolphin noises. And Aaron Rodgers just holding it up. The rest of the team walking out with their head down, embarrassed.
Are they going to let him hold it? He might break something. He might pull something or tear something. Last time they let him carry something out on the field.
He's got to hold the flag. You're right. Somebody else has to hold the boom box.
God. When do you think Aaron Rodgers can laugh about that, by the way? Do you think there's ever a point in his life when he can laugh about that?
About him blowing out his Achilles?
No. The comedy of him on the 9/11 Remembrance game in New York at home with the Jets, running out of the tunnel with the American flag, making all kind of a scene. And, a moment. It was a legitimate moment for Jets fans who have suffered so much and then 4 plays in popping his Achilles. Do you think he can ever at any point in his life laugh about that? Because while it is messed up and terrible for him, there is some kind of very, very dark comedic humor to be found there.
Very dark, yes. And the answer is no.
You're smiling while you say that, which makes me think that you also think it's funny, but you're too scared to say it in front of a microphone.
I don't think he will ever be able to laugh at that.
But you think it's funny.
Very dark.
Yeah. That's a good way to cover. So, Tre'Davious White, Christian Fulton, the Sneed stuff, they continue to kind of hover around it. Now, there have been reports out there about the compensation that they've offered and was not acceptable to the Chiefs. Perhaps they're waiting to see if a better offer does not emerge. There was some fake news out there, and in full disclosure, it was fake news from, let me not call it fake news because maybe it comes to pass. But enough time has passed where an A to Z Sports Colts reporter put out there that the Colts had compensation and a deal done for L'Jarius Sneed, and that has not yet happened. So if it does, I don't want to mischaracterize or mislabel it as fake news, but to date, that transaction has not yet happened, and that reporter is currently fending off reasons why he's working through it. And, like I said, full disclosure, he works at A to Z. I work at A to Z. I don't know the guy, but that was his report. So, the options at corner, Christian Fulton's not a bad one. I know people aren't going to want that at all, and I completely understand it. I'm probably more in favor of it than I should be.
I mean, are the two best options signing Tre'Davious White or trading for L'Jarius Sneed? Trading for L'Jarius Sneed is the number one option, right?
Yes. Oh, by a mile.
Especially if you're talking about a 2025 third rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me? Yes.
Take it and run, especially with the money that you have to work with. You can structure his cap hit however you want to. You can make it work.
Like, if it's a third rounder, a future third rounder, you'd be lucky to get a third round pick that has the type of career that L'Jarius Sneed has had so far.
Somebody changed the Jets chant from JETS to AARP. Jets. That made me laugh. So let's take a look at the free agent corners that are currently available to be signed right now. Specifically corners, though they do need safety help as well. Guys who are available to be signed as unrestricted free agents. The list looks like this. Xavier Howard, who's 30, cut from Miami. You've got J.C. Jackson, who's had all manner of issues coming out of Los Angeles, ended up getting cut, going back to the Patriots. Adoree Jackson is out there. He's 28 years old. Did you see Corey Davis is removing himself from the retired list?
Yeah. Try and give it another go?
Well, but the Jets, there's reports out there from Rich Cimini, the Jets ESPN reporter, that they would welcome him back for the opportunity to compete for a spot, but he wants to play for a team closer to his home. And of course, I think he built a home. I don't know if he bought a home or built a home here in Nashville, but either way, this is home base for him.
Taylor on the FNM Bank chat says, I do want Fulton back. I gave him some benefit of the doubt about how Vrabel handled things.
No, I'm not going to take the excuse for a lot of players that they got Vrabeled, because I think that people cast that net far too much without actually knowing the details on that. Fulton for sure did. Mike had a way every year of hyper-focusing in on a couple of players that he felt like difficult coaching would bring out the best in them. Jayon Brown and David Long are great examples of that. David Long probably doesn't have a lot of love in his heart for Mike Vrabel, given the way that ended. But Christian Fulton Chig is another one. Fulton, it legitimately got in his head. That on top of a contract and him having to work through the frustrations of the recurring soft tissue injuries. I think that if you wanted to give anybody, I don't want to give him a pass because, again, if you're out there, you're expected to perform just as Jeff was when he was dealing with ankle stuff and all these other players who play injured.
And the availability was a concern regardless of the type of coaching he was getting.
100%. Fulton is somebody that I think Titans fans should be willing to give another chance given his circumstances. I am completely understanding of why you might find that idea offensive. Because when he was out there, he had a good stretch of football. It was probably the middle part of the season.
After the Colts game in Indianapolis where he was really bad.
Yeah.
But he leveled up, or he leveled off, I should say, and played some decently consistent football.
Yeah, but then it started to dip again as the year wore on. And again, the injuries are a thing. He played through injuries trying to earn a contract. He's not going to be expensive. And I'd rather take a dude with hammy history than Achilles, even though I know Tre'Davious White to have reached a higher level as a player at a previous point in his career. But yes, the top option should be Sneed. And here's the biggest reason why the Titans are still in it. Brian Callahan thinks he's, if not the best corner in football recently, one of the best corners in football recently. And the head coach is very interested in acquiring his services. And the general manager and front office are looking at ways to make that viable. Whether it ends up being viable or not remains to be seen. So,
how much are we considering the possibility of him just staying and playing on the tag in Kansas
I
City?
think that's way more likely than any other scenario.
That's the most likely scenario.
I think the most likely scenario is L'Jarius Sneed remaining on the Chiefs roster in 2024. Based on the fact that they continue to have to work, because it's not good after the draft, after people start to address corner needs, like by then your compensation that you're getting back for him is going to go, I mean, you're having to settle for a 2025 pick anyway. And they have a month. They have more than a month to figure this out. Any team that would be interested in L'Jarius Sneed. But I think by percentage chance, rarely would you take one team over the field, but the team that has him under contract is the team that's most likely to retain his services next year. We'll see what happens. We'll keep you updated. Final hour is coming up next. There is a fight in the UFC that is officially on. Local ties, McGregor and Chandler. McGregor is out here promoting his movie and has announced that fight is officially a go. There's been some back and forth on that for damn near years at this point. Nate Washington will also join us at 12:20. We're going to talk about the Titans offseason. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
It is 12:02. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. In NFL free agency news, the New York Jets have signed wide receiver Mike Williams to a one-year deal with max value of $15 million. Williams was released by the Chargers earlier in the offseason. The Browns signed newly acquired receiver Jerry Jeudy to a 3-year extension worth $58 million with $41 million guaranteed. And new Saints defensive end signing Chase Young will reportedly miss part of training camp due to a neck surgery. Young signed a 1-year deal with New Orleans earlier this week. College basketball, the first four continues in the men's tournament. Tonight, it'll be Grambling and Montana State playing for the 16 seed in the Midwest region and the right to play Purdue. That's a 5:40 tip-off. Later on at 8:10, Colorado and Boise State play for the 10 seed in the South region. You can hear both of those games courtesy of Westwood One here on The Zone after 3HL at 6. The women's tournament gets underway tonight with the first four, and Vanderbilt will battle Columbia for the 12 seed in Regional 3, an 8 p.m. tip-off on ESPNU. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour is here. We're happy to have you. Thanks for hanging out on this Wednesday afternoon. Jump in on the phones if you want to. 615-737-1045. That's the number. Do you feel that the Titans, I'm reading the wrong day's grid, Lucas. I was getting ready to do your Monday show. My bad. You're going to be solo on Monday. Well, you'll have Bert. Well, we'll have Bert tomorrow.
We will have Bert tomorrow.
How did we get stuck with that?
I made it happen. I demanded it.
You demanded it?
I demanded it. I miss Bert. And I will be with Bert on Friday.
Okay.
And we're only on for an hour on Friday like we are tomorrow. And then I'll be with Jackson Monday and Tuesday.
Okay. Lucas has got the reins. I'm taking some vacation. Going to fly out to Los Angeles for a couple of days and enjoy a buddy's wedding. You ever been to? You've been to L.A. with me, right? With the Titans radio crew?
Yes, that's the only time I've been to L.A.
What did you make of it?
I highly enjoyed the 2 days I spent in Los Angeles.
What did you do with yourself?
Oh, just walked. I walked around Santa Monica. Literally, just walked around the beach. I had like 6 hours to kill or something after we did the show at the Westwood One Studios Monday morning, and just walked around. Sort of took in the sights.
That's where the wedding is, literally on the beach in Santa Monica.
Wow.
So I'm excited about that.
Bougie.
Wait, listen, this is the bottle service director-in-chief's wedding that I'm going to. This is bleep it, put it on Larry's card because he didn't want to wait in line at the bars in college.
Are his parents still paying for stuff, or is he paying for it now?
He works in private equity, so now it's on. You ever seen Entourage?
Oh, you love Entourage.
Yeah, he's Ari Gold.
Nice.
Evie Bear. God help us. So I will return from that on Wednesday. But in the meantime, we can talk about some local news. So Conor McGregor is out here promoting a movie, and he is in the remake of Roadhouse. He is promoting Roadhouse, not just talking about how many different stuntmen that he's been able to knock out as a professional fighter for a living, like a lame ass, but he has also confirmed the thing that we have been waiting for, which is that he vowed, Lucas, to face Nashville's own Michael Chandler this summer. Now, we've been talking about this fight since the two of them were on The Ultimate Fighter together and waiting for the culmination of the season. And you don't follow UFC very closely.
No, that's where my sports mental inventory kind of runs out at baseball and UFC.
So you put those two in the same category?
No, not at all. It's just those are the two sports that I don't have enough room for. You know, there's too many sports swirling around.
That's fair.
There's too many sports.
Now, I'm not going to claim to be the biggest UFC fan either, but I do enjoy it, and Mike Chandler being in it is something that, of course, we would care about with local ties. So, looking at this, McGregor has vowed to face Mike Chandler. Do you have the audio? Okay. Has vowed to face Mike Chandler this summer, what he said in an interview with ESPN, quote, "We got confirmation a few days ago that it's all systems go. And they have yet to officially announce McGregor's return to the UFC because, of course, he's been doing boxing, he's been doing movies, he's been doing all manner of different things. You know, and this is speculation, this isn't being reported on. What's the biggest difference in Conor McGregor now versus the Conor McGregor that you remember?
I'm assuming he's just older. I don't know.
Have you looked at his face?
He had some work done?
Yes, on whatever it is that he's putting in his body. Now, that is reckless speculation on my part, but there is no way that Conor McGregor goes from what Conor McGregor used to look like to what Conor McGregor looks like right now without the help of some kind of performance-enhancing substance. And can you give me the Blaine Bishop reckless speculation sound, please? I think they wanted him jacked up for the movie. I think whatever that he's got in his system has him too heavy to fight Chandler in the UFC, and I think they've been waiting for him to get off whatever the stuff is, and I'm not going to allege what it is that he's been taking to get himself physically to the place that he's at. But this fight has been dragged out because they're waiting for Conor McGregor to be able to pass drug tests, is basically the way that I'm looking at this. I think it's incredibly exciting. And, of course, Chandler was on Monday Night Raw at some point last month. He was calling out Conor McGregor, so they're clearly starting to hype up the fight. And it's also notable that the UFC and the WWE are now sister companies. They're both under the publicly traded banner of TKO Group, which is owned by a Hollywood media agency called Endeavor. So they would not have Mike Chandler at Monday Night Raw or basically cutting a promo for a fight that they didn't intend to happen, and now McGregor's making the rounds.
Says he's going to bust him up.
Well, good. I hope he's harder to bust up than the stuntman that you've been kicking in the head as you film Roadhouse. I just have such a low opinion of him.
Did you say we don't know where the fight would happen?
No, they haven't announced a date officially yet, but basically there are plans in the works this summer. I would anticipate probably July. I would think you would have to have it in Vegas. If you're going to have it, because it's Conor McGregor, it would be Conor McGregor's return to the octagon.
Put it in Bridgestone, you cowards.
Oh, wouldn't that be fun?
A home match.
I'd love that. Well, now, on The Ultimate Fighter, McGregor has previously said that it would be June 29th at UFC 303, so late June, early July. The problem is with McGregor, so he hasn't won a lot lately. It's kind of like this Jake Paul fight. Jake Paul is a pretty good boxer for an average human being, but now he's going to fight Mike Tyson and probably get his skull caved in.
I truly have. That is what I will watch.
No.
That.
Oh, yo, show! Oh my God, we should do something. We should have like a watch party. Honest
When
to
is
God.
that?
I don't know. It's my birthday. We should have a watch party for this.
So that is like happening. That's not.
Yeah, July 20th. There's a date for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He is. I think he's 57 now.
Yeah,
Mike Tyson.
Man. He looks terrifying.
Because he's an actual boxer, Lucas, not just some YouTuber that boxes tomato cans for fun.
Yeah, like I trust Mike Tyson to do that fight to win the fight, not to drag it out and, make it a whole thing.
The dude bit off a guy's ear, okay? Like, he's going to get in there, see red, and probably, they're going to have to pull Jake Paul out of there.
God, I hope so. I want that to happen.
Why, do you hate Jake Paul? Do you have some kind of...
No, but
disdain for him?
I will appreciate like an actual, because it is now, boxing especially now is
irrelevant,
but an entertainment event more than anything, right? Like I feel like if a boxer now in a very high profile fight has an opportunity to end a fight in the first round, he won't do it. So that we can get 8 rounds and it's just this long. Oh my God, and 9 rounds. But that Mike Tyson's not in that mold.
Didn't Lev Bell and Adrian Peterson have a boxing match or something like that? Or Lev Bell and somebody?
Yeah, Frank Gore, I think. Wasn't Frank Gore into boxing?
Frank Gore did have some kind of a boxing. But basically...
Like, I believe that Paul is doing this for the celebrity. Tyson doesn't need that.
No, he's doing it for the payday.
Yeah,
because
the payday,
they're
the
going
clout.
to make so much money.
Tyson, I think, is doing this to beat the holy hell out of Paul.
And also a payday. Like, I don't know
Sure.
what Mike Tyson's life has looked like in the last couple of years, and I know he's selling THC gummies that are in the shape of an ear, which I love.
Ryan in the F&M Bank chat says that's not remotely true, and you know it. Jake Paul has this thing rigged as it can be, and Mike will let this go way longer and likely ends up losing because of TKO.
No, I don't know that because Mike Tyson's an actual boxer, you fool. Listen, this is the thing. Jake Paul hasn't fought an actual boxer. You remember celebrity wrestling, or like they would do those like animated shorts on like Comedy Central of like maybe this might predate you, but they would put them on like late night Comedy Central. It'd be some kind of like Play-Doh animated.
Oh yeah, claymation.
Claymation is the word that I'm looking for. Thank you. But they would make them into celebrities, and then they would kind of play it up to the celebrities and stuff like that, and they'd add a little fake gore and whatever.
Oh, you're talking about.
I can't remember the show. Celebrity
Death
Deathmatch. Thank you. Somebody in the chat. Celebrity Deathmatch.
No, that's not what I was thinking of.
So Jake Paul has been screwing around doing this with celebrity deathmatch type of stuff. Okay. Now he's fighting an actual trained boxer. He's fighting a former champion. I don't care if he's 57. Mike Tyson is not somebody. You think Mike Tyson is in on the bit when it comes to boxing? He stands to make money on this either way, and I'm sure the payday is as appealing as anything else, and also to get to knock the holy hell out of Jake Paul, because Jake Paul has a very punchable face, and I'm sure many people want to hit Jake Paul for no other reason but he's Jake Paul.
I was thinking of Robot Chicken. Did you ever watch Robot Chicken?
Yeah, I feel like it's the same production kind of stuff. Mike Tyson is going to want to win. Anybody who thinks that Mike Tyson isn't going to win is foolish in this.
He is almost 60.
Doesn't matter. It does not matter. He's an actual boxer. Jake Paul is a pretty good boxer for you and me, okay? He's just some guy that trains at the Y, basically, compared to Mike Tyson. He's going to get knocked the bleep out. It's a long way of saying that Mike Chandler and Conor McGregor are going to fight at some point this summer. Should be the summer of fights. I think we should do a watch party for this Jake Paul, Mike Tyson thing. I don't know who I need to talk to in promotions about it, but we'll get on that. 615-737-1045 is the number. Titans legend Nate Washington. He's going to join us, talk about the offseason coming up next. All right, Nate Washington, Titans legend, is here with us on 104.5 The Zone. We always love when we can chop it up with our guy. At NWash85 is where you can follow him. What's happening?
Buck, what's up, my guy?
Just trying to wade my way through the hell that is free agency, Nate. I know that as a player, it's a different kind of a hell. How did you experience free agency? Because you had the opportunity to go through it a couple of times. Some dudes don't ever throughout the course of their career. And I think people kind of take it for granted that when players get the opportunity to truly test their market value at various points in their career.
Right. Well, the first time I was able to have an opportunity to test the market, I'm not going to lie, I had mixed feelings, man, because I was coming off of our second Super Bowl, and it was kind of inevitable. Even at the beginning of the season, I remember Hines telling me things like, man, it's going to be so exciting to see you getting a new opportunity, getting a lot of money for your family, this is a huge opportunity. He even told me, he was like, you better not come back here neither, because every day I'm going to knock you upside your head for missing out on that money. So it was mixed feelings, because I did not want to leave those guys. I knew that the opportunity would be bigger. I knew that there was a lot more money on the table for me and my family. But, that family in that locker room with the Steelers was important to me as well. And it was a lot of mixed feelings. It was a lot of happiness, but a lot of sadness. And if I'm honest, upon my departure from the Titans, when I had an opportunity to leave, it was similar. Unfortunately, I feel like my state in that team at the time, at the organization, my heart was tied to Nashville. My heart was tied to the Titans. But it was just so much going on behind closed doors that I was just tired of it, especially, like I said, coming from Pittsburgh, having 2 Super Bowls in that short amount of time, seeing how that organization was run, seeing how those veterans were in that locker room, and then just seeing where I was in the 6th year of being in Tennessee. It was just like it wasn't ideal. So I was ready to leave. In all honesty, I was ready to see what was going to happen, the opportunities that arose. And ironically enough, it was an in-division rival, and it kind of all worked out business-wise. And I don't think a lot of people realize, even with me choosing to go to the Texans, that's where my grandmother lives. So my entire life I've been playing football, and, for my last year of my career, she was able to have an opportunity to watch me play every Sunday that we had a home game. So it was special for me.
That's awesome. But that's something that fans don't, one, they don't have the insight to, and some media people as well, depending on whether they take the time to actually bother to ask you guys about the things that you prioritize. And a lot of times, we won't get full transparency from players because it rarely benefits them to be honest at the podium.
Right.
And I'll ask you some questions about that within the context of Calvin Ridley here in just a second. What was the biggest misconception that you felt was out there about you when you departed the Titans? Because like you said, there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that didn't come out, that didn't come to light for, months and in some cases years after the fact. What was the biggest misconception that you felt was around you?
In all honesty, I look back at the situation, Buck, and I don't think there's any misconceptions. I think people had their opinions from their perception of where they were. I think a lot of perceptions were built upon, obviously, view and vantage points for people, whether it was media, whether it was fans. I think a lot of people had their speculation. But in all honesty with you, Buck, I really didn't get a lot of backlash, man. I didn't feel a lot of backlash, rather. I felt nothing but grateful and gracious people within the organization and the fan base, when it was time for me to go. I wasn't on social media at the time, so they might have been ripping me a new one, you know what I'm saying? But in my world, for my immediate, surroundings, even I remember to this day, our chef there in Nashville, he reminisces over taco days, just watching me come in and be excited about tacos and making my tacos, and him telling me goodbye when it was time for me to leave. It was everybody in the building, for the most part, it was a somber sorrow of goodbyes, so I felt that I was going to be missed for not only the leadership and the things that I provided for the team, but, who I was as a person. I'm very humble. I love to interact with people. I love to befriend people, especially within the within the organization that works for us. Those people, custodial staffs, equipment managers, front desk workers, those people were a lot of good friends of mine. I would love going in and chopping it up with them a lot of times and seeing the smiles on their faces. So I really didn't receive any backlash, in my opinion, from the people that matter to me the most. And that was the people that worked within the organization and the fan base. I do feel like, I won't go into too much detail, but if there was any misconception or anything that wires that were crossed, in all honesty, it was with the front office and the head coach. I think that's where the reason came for me not retiring in two-tone blue. But I also understood the situation. There weren't many guys retiring in two-tone blue at that time. I watched many guys that were legends for that team, which is for a lot of different teams. They don't retire in the jersey that they spend a lot of their prime time years in, and I understand the business. So I didn't have any hard feelings. I didn't think anyone had any misconceptions about me that I felt was important to me that I need to clear up. But in all honesty, I was just more grateful that I felt the overall consensus thought about me leaving Nashville, no matter who it was, media or fans. They understood what I gave to that team and everything that I poured into that city.
Yeah, because you weren't on social media. That's the answer. Like Nate, I swear to God, it doesn't matter what you tweet. It doesn't matter how nice you are to people. When the first response on every tweet for everybody who posts out there, he's always going to be a bleep hole. It doesn't matter who you are. That person is always going to be the worst person. The first person to respond to anybody's tweet, always a bleep hole. So it's a good thing that social media.
I completely understood that. I don't know what it was about my mindset. Obviously, I came in the league before social media, but I understood that it could be such a fickle space that I never wanted to get involved with it while I was playing, man. My ex-wife at the time, she dealt with it tremendously, and she would come home and we would talk about it, the fan response with her. But, man, I had to stay off of it. It can be incredible at times.
That's because you're smart. Nate Washington here with us. On 104.5 The Zone. So, I got mixed results when we did the Calvin Ridley press conference last week because he was transparent with us. Nate, he was honest about wanting to go back to Jacksonville. And Titans fans don't want to hear that because they hate the Jags. And that Tennessee gave him a bunch of money. This was Calvin Ridley at his introductory press conference a little more than a week ago.
It's a new start. When I was going, through the process of, trying to evaluate the teams that I could possibly be with, I know that I have a certain type of skills, and so I'm not, scared to go with the good or with, who's trying to be good. So I think, playing them twice a year, I was watching them and looking at, the things they did have. I know that D-Hop's here, and I know that, I want to play with another receiver on the other side that can, help me, do what I do best too. So I knew that they had that, and I knew they had a really good defense, and, they were upcoming and stuff. So I was looking into it, and, I really wanted to honestly be with the Jags. But, there was a lot of things that I wasn't working out for me. And then I think the Titans had that other side for me. So I chose the Titans. And obviously the money was pretty good. So I went with that, and, yeah.
It never benefits an athlete to be that kind of honest with us, though, Nate, because fans always blow up in their face about it.
Yeah, well, I get it. For a lot of these fans, it's their hometown, right? And it comes to hometown, nothing beats your hometown. You stand on the top of a stool and you'll yell at the top of your lungs in defense of your hometown. And a lot of fans don't realize that it's a business for us. Like, we love the game. We absolutely love the game. And we love, when we are comfortable in a space that we can call home. It's ironic that he said that because, quick story, that I've never, ever told absolutely anybody, not a soul. But, I ended up signing with the Titans when I left Pittsburgh. But one of my most sought-after suitors was Cincinnati and leaving Pittsburgh. And I literally told my agent at the time, I said, I can't play for Cincinnati because I just could not see myself at the time playing for Pittsburgh. But obviously, you know, it was more money than I had made at the time. But at the same time, you know, like he said, you look at the numbers and it's like, well, that's a lot of money. So it makes it more feasible for you to understand that I love being here in Jacksonville. I love being here in Florida. I love playing for the Jags. But the better opportunity for me to advance my career and, you know, make something moving forward, not only on the field but off the field for my family, is in Tennessee, and this is the best choice for me. And I understand fans may not want to hear that, you know, but it's just the reality of the situation. You know, you never want to look at it as, you know, having gang ties, but it's almost similar for a lot of fans. You know, it's like being a part of the gang. You never gonna go with that rival gang and line up with them to fight your old brothers. It never go that way. But in a business world, you know, when it comes to advancing your career, taking care of your family, which is what we all do as we're trying to work to make money, that's the most important thing. You know, you make the business decision and you go from there, man. You give your best. The best thing about it is, you know, you got a hard worker. You know, a guy that football means something to him. Is not going to be just a guy that's coming in to steal a check from you. This obviously, you know, it was a tough decision for him because of the situation and the comfortable environment there in Jacksonville. But at the end of the day, had a football guy made a business decision, and he's going to be willing to show up and work every day.
At NWash85 is where you can follow the real one. Nate Washington here with us on 104.5 The Zone. From a football standpoint, Nate, Hop is a true outside line of scrimmage wide receiver. Ridley's got a lot, and both of them have versatility to their game. I don't want to pigeonhole Hopkins like that. But how much more can a guy like Ridley benefit from playing alongside a guy like Hopkins, who can play that traditional X role and allow Ridley to work in a couple of different ways across the formation?
I'm going to go two ways with this question, Buck. I'm going to first say we will now get what I expected, not only from Hop, but from the other side of Hop with a number one receiver. I spoke about last offseason about, you know, hopefully Traylon turning the corner, which is the other part that I'll address in this question. Hopefully Traylon turning the corner and becoming a true number one receiver on the other end of Hop, because I knew Hop would be reliable. I knew football was important for him. I knew he would be there when his number was called. You know, I knew he would make a lot of, you know, spot big plays for this team that would help them out. But I just knew he was at that point in his career where he wasn't really at that number one receiver stage. I knew that he needed somebody to step into a number one spot for him. So not only does it allow him to now be comfortable in his role and not be pressed to make big plays or be the first down receiver or the number one guy on the team, but I'm expecting Hop to be even better this year, because now it takes a lot of pressure off of him at this stage in his career. What Calvin is able to do, from immediate routes to deeper routes to, you know, even screen game, you know, I think it would be exactly what I was hoping that Hop could have the opportunity to play alongside of unfortunately, on his way out, because just real, Father Time is undefeated, but on his way out of the league, you know, his last few years in the league, he will have an actual real chance to have some real impact. You know, I'm looking for another 1,000-yard season. I'm looking for some big things, you know, and as I stated with Calvin's ability, I think it will obviously open up a lot of things for Calvin. Having a Hop on the other side of him. Hop's dependability, his reliability, him being able to get open in zone, him being able to be a tough-nosed a football player will definitely give Calvin something that he hasn't had in a couple of years as well. I think he hasn't had a Hop since Julio, in my opinion. Christian Kirk is a great receiver, but he's just not the same type of guy. So in that, saying that, all of that tied together and turning this corner into the next part of this question, I'm hoping that this is the year for Traylon Burks. I'm hoping that he benefits the most out of Calvin and Hop. I'm hoping that he plays relaxed. I'm hoping that he finds a way to stay on the field. He has to be healthy. If he's not healthy, nothing else matters. but I truly feel like this is his breakout season. I'm hoping for at least 600 to 800 yards from the kid. I hope that he shows us football matters. I truly feel like the microscope is on him tremendously, in my opinion, more than the other two, because of the trade value in which we gave up to get him. I think this is his best situation. Also, dealing under two veterans that have been through a tremendous career, both on and off the field. You know, even learning from Calvin's situation of what he dealt with a couple years ago with his suspension. I think this will be a huge learning situation for Traylon, and I'm hoping he benefits at the end of it. So, you know, we talk about Calvin, we talk about Hop and his ability, but, you know, tying Traylon into this opportunity and seeing this thing unfold with a passionate Will Levis is going to be amazing for me. It's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to next year, and I think it will benefit all three guys.
You're the man, Nate. We appreciate your time. As always, at NWash85 is where you can follow him on the socials, now that he is on the socials, even though it makes a lot of sense not to be on the socials. He's out there keeping it real on a regular basis and kind enough to make some time for us. Always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend.
Love, bud. Appreciate you, man.
That's the man, Nate Washington, with us on 104.5 The Zone. 615-737-1045 is the number. We've got the F&M Bank chat where Joel Leet on YouTube says Calvin and Hop. Put it on a T-shirt. Like Calvin and Hobbes. You ever read those books?
That's the first thing I thought of, too.
Calvin and Hobbes, Calvin and Hop. Put it on the T-shirt, 2024. Last call for phone calls if you got them. If you want to react to anything that our buddy Nate Washington had to say. You want to find me for that? I said hour. You're not friends with him.
I'll allow it.
Last call for phone calls. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. So we did not get to this, but there is new NFL rules proposals out there, specifically to do with the kickoff. So this is a memo put out to the league and its clubs. Momentum has built. This is courtesy of Jory Epstein at Yahoo Sports. Easy for me to say. Momentum has built towards the NFL eliminating the hip drop tackle from legal moves, and they are also instituting a hybrid kickoff proposal. So on the hip drop tackle, it is a foul if a player, this is a proposal, not a new rule that's been instituted. It is a foul if a player uses the following technique to bring a runner to the ground: grabs the runner with both hands or wraps the runner with both arms and unweights himself by swiveling and dropping his hips and or lower body, landing on and trapping the runner's legs at or below the knee. It is a penalty. The proposal is a penalty of 15 yards and an automatic first down for the offense. Eliminates a potentially dangerous tackling technique, reason being player safety. How the hell are players supposed to tackle? I don't understand. Listen, player safety should be put at a premium, 100%. But I read that, and if I'm a defender, I don't understand how the hell you're supposed to make a stop. It's probably going to get voted through. We'll see what happens. League owners meetings are coming up. I want to say that they're at the end of the month. I'll double check on that for you. But you hear that and think what? Because my immediate thought is it's impossible to play defense without drawing a penalty.
Yeah, my immediate thought is infuriating flags being thrown throughout the course of the following season.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine?
This is going to be the thing now.
Can you imagine officials trying to suss through that? It's not fair to the refs. Not that anybody's losing any sleep over what's fair or not fair to the refs, but, I mean, games are going to be decided very much so on stuff like this.
Like recently it's been roughing the passer, right? That's kind of been the thing that's drawn the ire. That's the most hair-pulling and frustration penalty on defense now, right? Is the roughing the passer, landing with their weight on top of the passer, driving him into the ground. All these things, even when defensive tackles seem to be doing everything in their absolute power to avoid it, they'll still get flagged. That's what this is going to be. But it's going to apply to every defender on the field.
Last call for phone calls. If you got them, 615-737-1045 is the number. I accidentally just put somebody on the air, Lucas. I'm not sure who it is. Do you want to risk it? Russian roulette it?
Who are you, anonymous?
Caller, go ahead.
Doug from Nashville.
Hey, Doug.
Have you seen the hip drop tackle technique?
Yes.
How do you feel about it?
I feel that there are safer ways to tackle, for sure. I feel that the burden, though, continuing to restrict defensive players, because listen, all three quarterbacks are not all three quarterbacks, but the Titans quarterbacks have sustained injuries because of hip drop tackles. Absolutely. But I just don't think that it's all moving so fast that if you start to legislate it down to just, straight up lowering a shoulder, trying to wrap up as much as humanly possible, you're going to eliminate so many different opportunities for the defense to make a play here. I don't think the rate of injury is so high that it has to be legislated out, much less convoluted even further with officiating. And do you disagree with me, Doug? Because I'm happy to hear an argument against.
The first time I saw it, I thought that's a dirty way to tackle.
Okay.
I'm a defensive guy. The second time I saw it, I said that's being taught. And then the mumble was that guys were offended because it's a career-ending way to tackle. It's kind of like the alligator roll. Dirty way to tackle.
I mean, it is for sure being taught because guys are trying to figure out how to get a stop. And there's always going to be dirty plays in football. You can't legislate out dirty plays in football. That's not an excuse to keep hip drop tackling around. I don't know. No, I'm not smart enough to have a good solution for this. I just think that convoluting it even more, I think that we're immediately going to be talking more about officiating if this goes through.
I mean, it's not that it's the wrong thing to do. If it's making the game safer, then it's the right thing to do. It's just that sometimes, unfortunately, the right thing to do makes
the product worse.
Makes referees' jobs more difficult, which leads to very frustrating moments.
I don't want players to get hurt. I want player safety prioritized at the top of the list. And if this makes a consequential difference, then okay. But if I'm a defender, I'm throwing my hands up in the air and being like, what the hell do you want us to do? Honestly. Anyway. Polls, please.
Oh, yeah, baby. This poll update is shagadelic, baby. I have a Danger Powers here. I'm Austin Powers. Danger is my middle name, baby. This is one poll I'm interested in, baby. It's shagadelic. I haven't had an update in 2023 yet. Wink, wink. Oh, behave. Take it away, Lucas Panzica. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. How far does Tennessee have to go for you to consider this NCAA tournament a success? 41% say Elite Eight, 36% say a Final Four, 15% say Sweet 16 would be good enough, 8% say a national championship.
Elite Eight. I think that's fair. I think it's, given Rick Barnes' history, this would put him on the right side of the win-loss column in the tournament. Given that he's just under 500 right now as a postseason basketball coach. So an Elite Eight feels like a fair level of expectation. Sweet 16 at minimum. No earlier than the Sweet 16.
It is always tough with the tournament. That is such a crapshoot. The baseline is get out of the first weekend. That it would be inexcusable not to. But like we talked about, the Sweet 16 matchup with Purdue, right? Just this electric game between two national championship contenders. That's high scoring, goes into overtime. One Purdue guy hits 7 threes, and a controversial call at the end helps Purdue win it in overtime. At that point, do you say that's a failure on Rick Barnes, or do you say, well, that's just March, but get out of the first weekend?
Yeah.
What would you rather the Titans do at corner? 64% say trade for L'Jarius Sneed. 36% say sign free agent Tre'Davious White.
If it was as simple as trading for L'Jarius Sneed, that's the obvious answer for sure. It's the matter of compensation, which is why L'Jarius Sneed is not a Titan, a Colt, or otherwise right now.
Which one seed has the toughest tournament path? 35% say it's Houston. 23% say Purdue. 35% said it's UConn. 21% say Houston. 21% also UNC. Majority say UConn.
UConn is correct.
Yes. What is your favorite NCAA tournament upset pick? Karen says McNeese State. The Fighting Will Wades. Caden says Longwood. Mikey says Samford over Kansas. That is a popular pick. Buckyball in Kansas is kind of limping into this thing. Mm-hmm. Their lead scorer is out for the whole tournament. They've been really bad to end the regular season. Kellen says Utah State over Purdue in the second round.
The Peacocks.
God, I hate you. Those are the polls.
That's the show. We are only on for an hour tomorrow. Casey Alexander of Belmont Men's Hoops will be in studio with us. We'll fill out our brackets live on the air with you. Lucas is apparently going to meticulously pore over all the matchups today, only to take an L. I'm sure all kinds of L's in the first weekend of basketball, which I cannot wait for. And then, we're only going to be on for an hour. So we'll probably head over across the street to Tin Roof, go watch some basketball like every other person in the United States of America, because it's March. It's the best time of the year. It's the best postseason tournament by a mile, and I can't wait for it to finally be underway. So join us tomorrow from 10 to 11. We'll carry the basketball games live for you right here on 104.5 The Zone, including the Vols and St. Peter's at 8:20 Central Time on the Vol Network. Blaine and Mickey, they got you covered with some basketball, with some football, God knows what else coming up next.